Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For this week, I wanted to give you guys some sort of tips and ideas that might help you out on your next backpacking trip, whether you've been or haven't been before, just some sort of things to keep in mind. All of these things Sarah and I figured out during our 5 months in Europe, so I figured it might be helpful for you guys to keep these in mind just before you go. But I also wanted to give you guys a little update on what I'm up to right now. Sarah and I have a couple months until we're planning on moving to Seattle, which I'm really excited about. We're actually going to go look at apartments here in a couple of weeks. But for now, that just means we're saving money for the move, so we're going to be going on some smaller trips. I'll let you guys know when our next big trip is. I'm already excited for it. Sarah and I have already talked about a couple of things, so I'll definitely keep you guys updated. So now some tips from our experience that'll help you backpack Europe. Okay, for starters, you can get by on a lot less than you think you can. Sarah and I found that a decent sized backpack and her guitar were really all we needed to get us through. We've recycled outfits a lot because we found that these were the outfits that sort of got you through the whole day of hiking around the city, and they kept you cool and comfortable the whole time. Most places you're staying will either have a laundry facility on the premises, or you can just wash your clothes in the sink, hang out to dry. So trust me guys, you can pack pretty light and you'll get through just fine. Okay, next you guys are gonna have to figure out where to stay, and the great thing about Europe is there are hostels absolutely everywhere. Sarah and I used a website called hostelworld.com. It's a great website that gives you lots of pictures and lots of reviews of where you're staying. Always make sure the hostel you're staying at has lockers. Go ahead and buy a padlock before you leave because it's something you'll be using the whole time you're gone. As much as I want to say you can trust everybody, you definitely can't. Make sure all your stuff's locked up because it would really suck if you lost anything during your trip. There were some nights when we stayed in a 36-bed hostel, which was honestly really cool because it saved us a lot of money and we met a lot of people through it. You'll find that your best nights are when you're out hanging out with people that you met at your hostel, all traveling from different countries, and you're all looking to have a great experience wherever you're at. I'll put the link to Hostel World down in the description because it's the website that definitely got us through a lot of our travel. Next up, you're gonna wanna learn a little bit about where you're going. For me, this just means figuring out a little bit about the history. Things like seeing the Tower of Pisa are cool, but it's so much more valuable if you know a little bit about why it's there, or even just why it's leaning a little bit. You'll find you're taking so much more with you than just that funny picture, which you know you're all gonna take. Don't pretend you're cooler than the rest of us. Another thing about learning where you're going is taking a few minutes to learn a couple words in the language. What I mean is learning things like hello, good morning, please, and thank you. These will get you really far, more than just in a functional way, because if you show the locals that you're willing to learn a bit of the language and culture while you're there, they're gonna be a lot nicer to you and more willing to help you get around and figure things out. It's also a really good way to build friendships with the locals. You can find out new things about the city that you wouldn't have figured out otherwise. And then you can also find some things that locals like to do rather than just the well-known tourist spots, which is always a plus. Also, for all my LGBTQ friends, it's really important to learn about where you're going and where it's safe to be who you are. There's places where there can be a pride flag in every window, or there was places that Sarah and I specifically chose not to go to because we wouldn't have felt safe. There's a couple of websites I used to look up this information, which I'll link down below, but a quick Google search will get you just as far. Just make sure you're safe wherever you go, guys. Okay, next up, let's talk about how you want to spend your money. Everyone's gonna be a little bit different, but for us, we wanted to spend our money on the experiences more than anything. When it comes from getting place to place, weigh out your options on the amount of time you have and how much the travel is going to cost. For example, since we had so much time, we chose to take an €8 bus ride compared to a €30 bus ride from Prague to Warsaw, even though it was 18 hours versus 7 hours. That made the most sense to us, but if you're on a trip that's maybe only 3 weeks, you might not want to give up 18 hours of your time. So at the end of the day, see what makes the most sense when it comes to your trip. We used a website called Go Euro, which lays out prices, travel times, and what sort of mode of transportation you're taking, and that was a really good resource to use. Next is souvenirs, and I know this is a touchy subject for some people because people love them. But while t-shirts and cups are great, if you're carrying this pack on your back, you don't want all this extra stuff weighing you down. I found that some of the best souvenirs are the ones that are either cheap or free. I have a little 50-cent anklet on right now that I've had for about a year, and it makes me think of my trip every single time I look at it. I really love it. If you've already given yourself money for souvenirs and maybe now you're realizing you don't want to put all this stuff in your backpack, you could get a tattoo like I did, which may or may not be a good option for you. It's something I really enjoy because it's something that's gonna stay with me forever and I'll always have the memory of where I got it. But of course, make sure you get it somewhere safe and clean because you really don't want that bad memory of your trip. Just for yourself and whoever you're traveling with, figure out the way you want to spend your money and get to have the experience of a lifetime as well. All right, so that's gonna wrap up the video for today, guys. Give it a thumbs up if you want to see some more like it. You can always leave a suggestion in the comment box as well. That'll help me out a lot. Thank you so much for watching, you guys, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.